Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. So basically, we're doing UCAS Unplugged and what's new in higher education. And very lucky to have our academic director, Liz Knight, with us, and Gemma Legater, who's our customer service and student finance manager. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Liz and Gemma, who are going to also explain sort of, asking questions at certain times and all the rest of it. But I can see you've all got your mic switched off, so that's absolutely brilliant. I'll catch up soon. Okay, over to you. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm Liz Knight. What we're going to do is we're going to talk you first of all through UCAS. So just to get you familiar with some of the existing dates that are there for this year, and just to make it clear really about what options your students have if they step towards and face clearing. At the end of the UCAS section, please ask us any questions. You can do that by hands up. You can do that by comments in the chat. Then we want you to talk to you about a new range of qualifications, the higher technical qualifications. So that'll be the second part. But what we'll do is have a brief pause once we finish the UCAS section, just so you can ask any questions. Right, over to you, Gemma.
Perfect, lovely. I'll make a start. It's going to let me change the screen. There we go. So this is the cycle that we're in at the moment, but it's still similar dates for next year as well. So as a lot of you might know already, the first initial deadline was the 31st of January. So that was the equal consideration deadline for all the students getting in their applications. So if the students got in their applications by that date, they will have actually received a response from all of their providers, because that deadline was the 16th of May. So they would have all heard back by now, which is what enters now into extra. So extra is open. So that basically means what your students can do, whether if they haven't applied for university, it does mean they can still apply. It's not too late. A lot of students get really bogged down by the 31st deadline. They get panicked. They can still apply for a lot of different providers still. And of course, we're still open as well. With extra, it also means, so they've got all their responses from their institutions. If they haven't got any offers that they actually do want to accept, they have an opportunity here that they can now add an extra choice. So they can choose an extra institution or an extra course to add on the end. They might have offers that they kind of want, or they might have been declined for everything, or they might have just changed their mind about what they want to do. That's absolutely fine. They can still go into extra. So what's useful to know as well is they then have until the 6th of June to actually decide which one they want, or they do all get declined. So it's worth reminding your students they do need to make a choice, because they will have received all their offers. Yeah, so extra's open, and then once it moves into the 4th of July, that's when clearing will then start. So they'll be released into clearing if they haven't got any choices, or if they've declined all their offers, they can then get into clearing. If you've got a student this happens every year, so you'll have a student that might have firmed with an institution, but actually they've changed their mind and they want to go somewhere else, they can still get into clearing. It's just a little bit of a long pathway for them to get there, but they can still do it. So don't panic. All they need to do is first contact the institution that they're wanting to apply for through clearing to check there's going to be a place. And then what they need to do is speak to the institution they firmed with, ask to be released. And then if they speak to UCAS, they can release them, which means they can then get into clearing. So there's still a lot of options here. With UCAS, it is a little bit confusing because there's lots of deadlines, and it can make it seem very, you've missed the deadline, you can't do it, or you've firmed, so you can't do it. There is still a lot of options, and there's lots of way around it. UCAS are very helpful. So if you find a student that's stuck in a situation where they want to use extra, they want to use clearing, they're stuck in points, give UCAS a call, give us a call as well, because we can also advise on it. We're happy to help. So that's just to give you a bit of overview of what UCAS Extra is and what clearing is. A lot of people think they need to wait for their results to use clearing. That's not actually true. Clearing starts from the 4th of July, so you will be able to use it. It's not a problem. Yeah, and that's just on the screen. If they didn't receive any offers, they can use it, but it is also for people that actually they've received offers, but they don't want to accept it. I know some students think, oh, well, I've received an offer, I can't use clearing. Yes, they can. It's for everyone. And it's also as well, come results day, if you've got students that didn't meet conditions of their offers, clearing is also open for them as well. So if you do get students worried, they think they've missed the mark a little bit, just tell them, wait it out. Once results day happens, they'll be able to deal with it and enter into clearing. Perfect. So the next thing to talk about is a bit about student finance, a bit about student support. So these are the two biggest concerns for students when they're thinking about going to university. So with student finance, especially for students where they're not really sure what institution they're going to, the best advice to give them is apply for your student finance. You can actually change the provider and the course later on, but as long as you've got that finance in place. So the best thing to tell them is just to do the application, because then they know what they're doing. They can still change it. It's not a problem. Just the main messages here is really speak to the provider if they've got any concerns, if they want to change the course. What we find often is as it approaches to clearing, students start to realise that actually they want to stay local or they need the support of their friends and family. It's worth telling them it's still an option. It's not too late. You can still go into clearing. You can still apply. Most universities, you can apply actually right up till September. It's a lot better they do it earlier, don't get me wrong, but there are still options for them, especially when they are concerned about things like cost of accommodation, work commitments. But the key is speaking to the provider to see what support's on offer.
Right, Gemma, I think that's the end of your section on UCAS. Do we have any questions? Does anybody want to put anything in the chat? I know Rosie will be sending these presentations to you, so you can check those dates. What we would say is actually some of the UCAS guidance tools, some of the short webinars are also really, really useful. But I think what's important is, and what we need to keep saying to everybody is don't panic. There are people here to help you. If in any instance, the original university the student has provided to don't get back to them, then they must talk to UCAS. They can be released, they can change. You just need to be mindful of what stage the application is. So is it still their original application? Have they now tipped into extra because they're adding another choice, they're changing something? Or post the 5th of July, we just call it clearing. And clearing isn't, as we said, August. Clearing starts the 5th of July. It's just the terms that UCAS use for their cycles. They're different periods. So if we do have any questions, we're happy to take them now.
Don't think we do. No, not at the moment.
Okay, so just think of them. If you do have any questions, please just ask, pop it in the chat. We are here to help. Right, I'd now like to go on and talk to you about a new set of qualifications. All of you have heard about T-level, so how they're changing the landscape of level 3 provision that's impacting our 16 to 18-year-olds. Well, now there's been some further changes. And if you think about it, this is a bit like your progression from a T-level. So let's talk to you about higher technical qualifications. And when I talk to you about higher technical qualifications, I want you to think about the type of learners you have. We know that across Peterborough, certain level 3 performance statistics, just as a city, are lower than national average. It often means we're dealing with what we call a lot of widening participation students. That means there's possibly nobody else in their family that's gone to university. It might be that they're from a low income group and they possibly don't have the additional opportunities. So think about that group of students as I talk to you about higher technical qualifications. So HTQs are a blend of academic and vocational study. And the vocational pathways have been developed by employers. So if you were to look at apprenticeship, so some of you may be familiar with that, you know that they're all IFATE standards, stated vocational skills, behaviours and knowledge that students have to meet to achieve an apprenticeship. The HTQs are no different. The HTQs basically are developed in the same way as an apprenticeship is. But when you study a HTQ, you're not basically attached to an employer in the same way. So currently, places for degree apprenticeships are really, really competitive. You can only go onto a degree apprenticeship if an employer has put an offer out there. So what the government recognised is there's more work to do here. So a bit like T-levels, they want a qualification that is academic, but is really based on skills, the current skills that industry needs. And that's what HDQs are. So HDQs are either level 4 or 5 qualifications. So a level 4 qualification is a higher national certificate. Think of that as your first year of degree study. A level 5 means that you've done a HND. So that's a 2-year part of a degree study. The HDQs are made up of either HNCs, so 1 year, level 4, HNDs, 2 years, or foundation degrees and HE diplomas. They're then mapped to all the vocational standards to make sure they meet the needs of employers. That's really, really important. So employers are endorsing all these qualifications. Once you've done a HDQ, if a student's done a HDQ, they can then go into a degree. They can top it up. And I know at least one person on this call who's been studying with us knows about doing a top-up degree. So just think about the HDQs then, it's more about scaffolding learning, yeah? So building those skills of those students. So examples of HDQs that we're running at UCP, just to give you some context, so you understand what they are. So our first group are in computers, so they're around digital technologies. There are discrete routes in data analytics. So think how important data is now. Think about all the information that advertisers, businesses want about their customers. We've all heard about the different metadatas that have been run through Facebook. Everybody wants information now because information and knowledge are key to business success. We also have cybersecurity. We're all aware of hacking threats. We're aware of that within our institutions. No doubt many of us are adapting sort of emails, doing two-step verifications. So that's why we need more people that can work in cyber. We also have cloud networking. So that's the back end. That's building for some of the systems and software development, which does include some game design as well as other app development. So we're running a HND. Students do that for 2 years with us. They then move on to a full degree. But think what I said about that scaffolding of learning. We're also doing a sports community coaching HNC HTQ. The idea of that is students complete that 1 year. They then move on to a foundation degree or our full BSc in sports coaching. So they still get a degree. They still study for the same 3 years. But think about it as scaffolding learning, so you can build success for those students, which is really important. Our engineering as well is becoming HDQ, so it's very current. It was only sort of rewritten last year, and that's been endorsed by some leading major employers at a national level. We'll be running that in mechanical engineering, electrical and electronic engineering. For the first time, we're running that on a full-time basis. Previously, we've run that course just on a part-time basis for employers. We're now opening it up though. And again, those students can move on to a full degree top-up. From 2025, so this is what we're offering from 24. From 2025, we're looking at animal management and conservation, countryside ranger, rewilding. We believe there's a lot of young people there who are really focused on green credentials. We're also going to be doing a digital marketing communications foundation degree HDQ as well, and something else in adult social care, leadership and management. So let's go back to scaffolding learning and success, making HE possible for students. And I want to talk about computing. So we know a lot of students want to enter computing. They're coming from either A-level or BTECs. And what we tend to do, and we've done it before in a degree, you tend to often teach a number of different modules at the same time. So you're building those things, you're doing that. They might be running on, if it's a typical degree, 3-4 modules at the same time. We're changing the way we deliver computing. We believe that students will be far more successful if we deliver it by a module at a time. We are going to immerse them in Python as the computing language. We're going to immerse them in C++. That way they become so confident and they can also replicate the skills that employers want. Attached to our computing, so our digital technologies HDQ, are also industry recognised vendor qualifications. So qualifications from Microsoft, we're also going to be looking at Cisco. If we look at the community coaching sports qualification, we are offering with all of our HTQs £1,000 bursary in the first year for those students studying full time. And the reason for that is if they're on a sports qualification, we want them to be able in that first year to either pay for the appropriate additional qualification to be a personal trainer, to be a football coach, to gain their swimming badges, to look at gymnastics. The students will be able to choose any professional coaching qualification to the value of £1,000 to actually complement their course. So remember, we're getting them industry ready. Our qualifications are taught over 2 days. So we expect those students to be out working with employers, gaining real world experience. Students could, of course, choose to use £1,000 to cover their transport costs. They may want to buy kit. I think for the computing students, they're looking at some national and international conferences attendance as well. So we're really trying to respond to employer needs. It's really key. We've all heard about the skills challenge. And as I said, they are industry recognised. So in terms of industry recognition, if I just give you a bit more of a flavour around the computing, so the digital technologies HTQ, they were written in conjunction with Microsoft, KPMG, so the big financial auditors, Retro Games, Activate Learning. And as I said earlier, alongside those, you also add in vendor qualifications. So students are really, really current and they have the skills that actually industry wants. So that's a little bit about HTQs. You're going to see more of them coming out. You're going to see more information on UCAS. And again, it's just about coming to us if you want further information. Coming to us if you've got a student that's not sure about committing to a full 3-year degree. They may want to look at HTQ. Think about that. Build success. You can build success after year 1 on sports. You build success after 2 years on computing. Really important. Often means the students go out and they get a part-time job in the sector working with employers whilst continuing the other part of their degree. They might decide the last year of their degree they're going to do on a part-time 1 day a week basis. And we can accommodate all of that. So that's really it from me about HTQ. So I hope that's been useful. You can find out more about these as well if you want to come to the UCP Open Day, which is on the 27th of June. We'd be happy to have you. There will be some Eventbrite bookings. And if you're an advisor in school, if you've got some students that are unsure, just send them to us. And I know as well, Rosie will be talking to you and communicating with you about our big school taster days, our Discover Uni days. That's for the students, but it's also for all of you. So you can sit and have really good conversations with us. We can advise you about what's happening. We're also happy across those 2 days for myself or Gemma to run a bespoke session whilst the students are off probably grabbing pizza, doing mad things in the forensics bungalow or coding or doing green screen. We can sit and run something special for you as well. So any questions?
Right, I don't think we have any questions. So you've obviously done extremely well, or they're just mulling it over. I did want to mention the Discovery Days on the 18th and 19th of June. We've still got some spaces on this, and I have to say, phenomenal days. It might be as well that you want to have a bespoke day, sort of September, October, which is something that we could, definitely talk about. So need to contact me on that. And again, also, if you want us to come into school and present and talk, then please, do let us know. So we do want to, we really want to work with you as much as we possibly can. And it is very much, sort of about supporting your students to the very best we can. As I said, these sessions are going to be recorded, so I'll definitely be sending you a recording of this one. Look forward to being in touch. Oh, just lastly, we are going to run this session in a slightly different way tonight, 6:30 until 7:30 for parents and students. So if you haven't already sent this out to students and parents, then it would be great if you could, because it's a really, really helpful webinar for them. I know it's probably a little bit lastminute.com for them, but we have done quite a lot of work on promoting it. But if, by any chance you've got a moment to send it out again this morning, then that would be absolutely amazing. Okay, we still don't have any questions. So, but thank you so much, Liz and Gemma. That was seriously helpful. And we'll look forward to being in touch soon. Okay, thank you. Take care. Have a good morning.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, 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 bye.